Throughout the ages, whispers of ancient wisdom have echoed through time, revealing the hidden threads that weave the fabric of existence. Passed down from mystics, scholars, and seekers of truth, these profound insights have often been veiled in secrecy, reserved only for those willing to seek beyond the ordinary. Among these, the Seven Hermetic Principles stand as pillars of understanding, laws that govern not just the physical realm, but the entire universe itself. But what if these timeless truths are not confined to the ancient scrolls of esoteric teachings? What if, hidden in plain sight, they resonate through the words of one of the most influential spiritual figures in history, Jesus of Nazareth? Beyond traditional interpretations, beyond religious dogma, lies a deeper connection, a bridge between Hermeticism and the wisdom Jesus imparted to his followers. His words, often spoken in parables, carried layers of meaning, illuminating profound truths about existence, the nature of reality, and our connection to the divine. Could it be that at their very core, the teachings of Hermeticism and the message of Christ are not separate, but rather reflections of the same eternal wisdom? Hermeticism, an ancient mystical tradition rooted in the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, speaks of a universe governed by 7 fundamental principles. These principles shape everything, from the movement of the stars to the thoughts that ripple through the minds of humanity. Seekers of truth have turned to Hermeticism for centuries, attempting to decode the mysteries of life, the cosmos, and the unseen forces that shape our reality. But despite its origins in the ancient world, these truths have echoed through time, manifesting in the wisdom of various spiritual traditions. Nearly 2,000 years ago, in a small corner of the Roman Empire, a teacher emerged, one who would change the spiritual landscape forever. Jesus of Nazareth spoke of divine love, of the nature of the soul, and the hidden kingdom that resided not in temples or palaces, but within the heart of every human being. His words, though simple, carried a depth that transcended the limitations of language, offering guidance not just for moral living, but for unlocking the hidden potential within. While at first glance, these two traditions may seem worlds apart, one arising from the depths of Egyptian and Greek mysticism, the other from the lands of Judea. Beneath the surface, they share an undeniable harmony. Both point to universal truths, principles that stretch beyond cultural and religious boundaries, revealing the deeper fabric of reality itself. The first of these Hermetic principles is mentalism, the idea that all is mind, that the universe itself is mental in nature. This principle reveals that everything that exists, from the vast galaxies to the smallest thought, originates from consciousness. Reality, at its core, is not merely physical, but a reflection of perception, awareness, and thought. Long before Hermetic texts recorded this principle, Jesus spoke of the power of the mind and heart, offering wisdom that mirrored this very idea. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. These words, found in ancient scripture, are a testament to the creative power of thought. Our minds are not passive observers of reality. They are active participants, shaping the world around us. Jesus understood this deeply, urging his followers to transform their inner world, for it is the mind that shapes the external. The universe, as Hermeticism teaches, is a grand mental construct. Our beliefs, our thoughts, and our intentions dictate our experiences. Jesus revealed this truth when he spoke of faith, saying, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains." These were not mere words of encouragement, but a revelation of a deeper reality. The mind, when aligned with divine purpose, holds the power to alter the material world. The ability to influence reality is not reserved for a select few. It is embedded within each soul. Through unwavering faith, focused thought, and a deep connection to the divine, we tap into the creative forces of the universe itself. Mentalism teaches that all creation begins with thought, that the universe is born from mind, and Jesus' teachings align seamlessly with this truth. His message was clear. The external world is but a reflection of the internal state. Change begins within, and as we shape our thoughts, we shape our reality. The second Hermetic principle, Correspondence, speaks of the fundamental law that binds all things together. As above, so below. As below, so above. This principle reveals the interconnected nature of existence, showing that what happens in the heavens is mirrored on earth, and what takes place within reflects outward. This is not a mere philosophical concept, but a tangible reality. Our inner state influences the outer world, and the macrocosm and microcosm dance in harmony. Jesus, too, spoke of this great truth when he declared, "The kingdom of God is within you." These words hold profound implications. The divine is not distant, not separate from us. It exists within, woven into the very essence of our being. The spiritual realm is not an unattainable paradise beyond the stars, but a reality accessible through deep awareness. The principles of Hermeticism echo in his words, reminding us that heaven is not a distant place, but a state of consciousness. When Jesus performed miracles, he demonstrated this law in action. He did not defy nature, but worked in harmony with it, aligning with spiritual forces that transcended the physical world. He healed the sick, calmed the raging storm, and even raised the dead, not through mere supernatural power, but by understanding the laws that bind all things. His actions reflected the great principle of correspondence, revealing that the higher realms influence the lower, and the physical world is but a shadow of the spiritual. Just as the Hermetic principle teaches that the universe reflects itself on all levels, Jesus called upon his followers to look within, to cultivate the divine presence inside themselves. The changes we seek in the world begin first within us. The external is but a mirror, and when we bring light into our inner world, that light extends outward, shaping everything it touches. These truths, once hidden in the esoteric texts of the ancients, are now revealed in the very words of Jesus. His teachings were not bound to one tradition or one culture. They were universal, timeless, and deeply aligned with the fundamental laws of existence. In his wisdom, we find echoes of Hermetic thought, and in Hermeticism, we uncover reflections of Christ's message. But there is more. Deeper layers remain to be uncovered, revealing the intricate tapestry of truth that spans across spiritual traditions, guiding us toward a higher understanding of the universe and our place within it. Throughout the vast corridors of human thought, the principle of vibration stands as an immutable truth, an unseen force shaping everything in existence. The ancient Hermeticists understood this well, teaching that nothing rests, that all things are in a constant state of motion. From the smallest atom to the grandest celestial body, all vibrate, all resonate, all pulse with an energy that gives form to the fabric of reality. But long before this law was ever written in esoteric texts, its truth was spoken in the teachings of Jesus. In moments of deep reflection, he declared, "Ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you." These were not just words of guidance, but a profound revelation of how energy flows within the universe. To ask is to send a vibration into the cosmos. To seek is to attune oneself to the frequency of truth. And to knock is to move in harmony with divine forces, allowing doors of possibility to open. Every thought, every spoken word, every action carries a vibrational signature that affects the seen and unseen realms alike. When Jesus healed the sick, it was not through mere words, but through the alignment of energy and attunement to the higher frequencies of divine love and harmony. He understood that disease was not merely physical, but an imbalance, a discord in vibration, and by elevating one's energy, healing could manifest. Those who reached out to him, those who truly believed, were not just witnessing miracles. They were shifting their vibrations to a higher state, allowing divine forces to flow through them. In modern times, science has only begun to confirm what the ancients always knew. Everything, matter, thought, even emotions, resonates at a specific frequency. Fear and doubt vibrate at lower, denser states, while love, faith, and gratitude elevate one's entire being. When Jesus said, "Do not be anxious for tomorrow," he was not merely offering comfort. He was teaching an eternal truth, that worry and fear bind one to the lower states of existence, while faith and trust raise one to the divine. To truly walk the path of wisdom is to become conscious of one's vibration, to cultivate energies that align with the higher realms, to step beyond the confines of fear and step into the light of divine harmony. But vibration alone does not shape the universe. It must be directed, channeled, guided. This is where the principle of polarity emerges, revealing that all things contain dual aspects: light and dark, hot and cold, love and hate. These are not separate forces, but different degrees of the same essence. The sages of old understood that the key to mastery lies not in resisting one pole, but in understanding the flow between them. Jesus, too, embodied this principle, teaching his followers to transcend duality, to see beyond the illusions of separation. "Love your enemies," he proclaimed. "Do good to those who hate you." At first glance, и зрение, это выглядит как невозможная команда, противоречие естественным инстинктам самосохранения. But in truth, it is an invitation to shift the poles of energy, to transform darkness into light, to turn the lower into the higher. For love and hate are not opposites, but points on the same spectrum. A heart filled with hatred can, through deep understanding and transformation, move toward love. Just as cold can become warm, just as night gives way to dawn, so too can the soul rise from the depths of despair to the heights of divine bliss. Jesus demonstrated this not just in words, but in action. When faced with persecution, when confronted with betrayal, he did not react in vengeance. He responded with love, showing that the path of the divine is one of transcendence. Polarity is woven into the fabric of existence, yet those who understand its nature can rise above it. The mind that sees only division, that clings to extremes, remains shackled to illusion. But the mind that perceives unity within duality, that recognizes the interplay of opposites, moves with wisdom. This is the secret known to the great mystics, the sages who walked between worlds, the enlightened souls who understood that true power lies not in resistance, but in transformation. The interplay of polarity naturally leads to the principle of rhythm. Just as the tides rise and fall, just as the seasons change, so too does life move in cycles, ebbing and flowing in an eternal dance. The Hermeticists saw this law at work in all things, teaching that everything moves according to its own rhythm, that all events swing between poles like the pendulum of time. Jesus spoke of this rhythm, though few recognized its deeper implications. To everything there is a season, he said, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to reap. This was no mere observation of nature. It was a revelation of the deeper currents that govern existence. Those who struggle against the tide, who resist the natural flow, find themselves caught in suffering. But those who move with the rhythm, who understand the rise and fall of all things, attain peace. In the grand design of existence, nothing remains fixed. The highs and lows of life, the moments of joy and sorrow, are but waves in the ocean of time. The wise do not cling to the peak, nor do they despair in the valley, for they know that all things move in cycles, that after darkness comes light, and after loss comes renewal. Jesus, in his wisdom, understood this deeply, walking his path with an awareness of the greater design. Before his crucifixion, he spoke to his disciples, telling them that his time had come, that just as a seed must fall to the earth and die before it can grow, so too must he descend before he could rise. He knew the rhythm of the divine plan. He saw beyond the moment. He understood that all things move in accordance with higher laws. And so, when the time came, he embraced his destiny, not as a victim of fate, but as one who knew the hidden order behind all things. This is the path of the wise, to flow with the current of the cosmos, to understand that every loss is followed by gain, that every descent precedes an ascent. Those who grasp this truth no longer fear the changes of life. They move with grace, knowing that the unseen forces of rhythm guide all things toward balance. The principles of vibration, polarity, and rhythm reveal a universe that is not chaotic but deeply ordered, governed by unseen forces that shape reality itself. Jesus, through his teachings and his very life, demonstrated these truths, not as abstract concepts, but as living realities. He showed that thought shapes existence, that duality can be transcended, that cycles must be embraced rather than feared. And in doing so, he unveiled a wisdom that is not bound to time or tradition, but eternal. Yet, there are still deeper mysteries to uncover. The hidden laws that govern power, cause, and effect, and the very nature of gender itself. The path of wisdom does not end here. It unfolds, leading to ever greater revelations for those with eyes to see and hearts open to truth. Beyond the cycles of rhythm and the interplay of opposites lies another profound truth, one that shapes the entire structure of existence. It is the law that binds the past to the present to the future. It is the unseen force behind every action, every consequence, every unfolding event. This is the law of cause and effect, a principle so absolute that even the greatest sages, the most enlightened minds, have acknowledged its presence. Jesus understood this law not in a detached, theoretical sense, but as a fundamental reality woven into the very fabric of existence. As you sow, so shall you reap, he declared, revealing the divine mechanism that governs all actions. Every thought, every word, every choice sets forth a ripple in the vast ocean of time, a cause that inevitably leads to an effect. Nothing occurs by chance. There are no accidents. What appears to be random is merely the result of unseen causes, shaping the flow of reality in ways beyond human perception. When Jesus healed, when he forgave, when he lifted others from despair, he was not merely performing miracles. He was demonstrating the profound truth that good begets good, that kindness multiplies, that love, when given freely, returns in ways unseen. Those who sought revenge, who harbored anger and resentment, were bound by their own chains, trapped in cycles of suffering of their own making. But those who forgave, who chose love over hatred, broke free, transcending the patterns of cause and effect that kept them shackled. The wise understand that every action bears fruit. A single word can shape a destiny. A fleeting thought, given power, can alter the course of a lifetime. When Jesus spoke of faith, the size of a mustard seed moving mountains, he was not speaking in metaphor. He was revealing the hidden potential within the smallest causes, the unseen power that, when aligned with divine intent, can shape worlds. But the law of cause and effect does not merely apply to human action. It governs the universe itself. The rising and falling of empires, the shifting of the stars, the unfolding of history, all move in accordance with this immutable truth. And those who perceive its workings, those who align themselves with its flow, can wield a power far beyond that of the ordinary man. Yet, there is another layer, a deeper mystery that intertwines with this law. The ancients called it the principle of gender, not in the limited sense of male and female, but as a fundamental force underlying all creation. It is the interplay of energies, the fusion of opposites, the harmony that brings forth life itself. Jesus, though often misunderstood, embodied this principle in his teachings. He did not separate the masculine from the feminine, nor did he see one as superior to the other. Instead, he spoke of unity, of the coming together of forces to create something greater. The two shall become one, he said, revealing not just the sacred nature of human union, but the deeper truth that all things, light and dark, thought and action, spirit and matter, must merge to create harmony. In the grand design of existence, the masculine principle is that of will, of direction, of outward force. It is the energy that initiates, that moves, that seeks. The feminine principle is that of creation, of receptivity, of nurturing what is given. One cannot exist without the other. The seed without the soil is barren. The spark without the vessel is lost. And so, the great work of the universe is the balancing of these forces, the merging of the seen and the unseen, the interplay of the active and the passive. The world is full of those who lean too far into one side or the other, those who act without wisdom, those who think without movement, those who create without direction. But those who master the principle of gender, who understand the sacred balance, who know when to act and when to allow, wield a power far greater than mere force. They move in accordance with the divine rhythm, shaping their reality with precision and grace. Jesus was a master of this balance. He knew when to speak and when to be silent, when to act and when to wait. He walked in harmony with the forces of creation, neither grasping nor resisting, but flowing with the divine plan. When confronted with opposition, he did not respond with force, yet his presence alone shifted the energies around him. When healing, he did not impose his will upon others. He merely opened the path, allowing the divine energies to flow through. And so, those who seek wisdom, those who desire mastery over their own lives, must learn this sacred art. To align one's actions with divine cause, to understand the hidden forces at play, to walk in harmony with both the masculine and feminine within oneself. This is the path to true power. The forces of the universe are not chaotic, they are deeply ordered. And those who perceive this order, who move in accordance with its principles, become creators of their own destiny. The teachings of Jesus, the wisdom of the ancients, the hidden laws of the cosmos, all point to a single truth. That reality is not fixed, that life is not a series of random events, but a tapestry woven by the unseen forces of vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause, and gender. To know these laws is to know the secret workings of existence itself. To live by them is to move beyond the illusions of limitation and into the realm of divine mastery. But understanding these laws is only the beginning. For those who truly seek wisdom, for those who wish to transcend the ordinary and step into the extraordinary, the journey is far from over. The final veil has yet to be lifted. The last mystery has yet to be revealed. The deeper mysteries are not for the faint of heart. They demand a willingness to unlearn, to see beyond what is comfortable, to accept that reality is far more fluid than it appears. Those who cling to rigid perceptions, to absolutes that can never shift, find themselves caught in an illusion, a world shaped not by truth, but by the limitations of their own understanding. Jesus spoke of this often, though few truly heard him. "The kingdom of heaven is within you," he said, not referring to some distant paradise, but to a state of being, a reality accessible to those who awaken to the truth. It is not found in dogma, not in blind adherence to rules, but in the realization that divinity itself flows through every living thing. The barriers we perceive, between self and other, between heaven and earth, between mortal and eternal, exist only in the mind. To awaken to this truth is to step into a new way of being, one that defies the illusions of separation. The great sages knew this, the ancient mystics understood it, and Jesus himself lived it. His every action, his every word, his every silence spoke of unity, of a life beyond the dualities that imprison so many. "Love your enemies," he said, not as an impossible command, but as a revelation of a higher truth. There is no enemy. There is only the reflection of self in another, the echo of one's own energy rippling outward. The wise do not seek to conquer their enemies. They seek to understand them. For to defeat another is to deepen the illusion of separation, while to embrace another is to dissolve the veil that keeps one bound. This is why Jesus forgave those who sought to destroy him, not out of weakness, not out of submission, but out of absolute mastery over the nature of existence. He knew that their actions were born of ignorance, that they moved as puppets to forces they could not yet see. And he, standing in the light of truth, had no need to fight what was already bound to dissolve. But to live in this way requires something few are willing to give up: the illusion of control. Most people spend their lives clinging, grasping, believing they can shape the world through sheer force of will. They fight against the tide, resist what is, and in doing so, entangle themselves further in suffering. Jesus, however, did not cling. He flowed. He surrendered, not in weakness, but in absolute trust that the divine force moving through all things would guide him. This surrender is not passive. It is the highest form of power. It is the recognition that one is not separate from the currents of life, but an integral part of them. To surrender is not to give up. It is to align. It is to step into the natural rhythm of existence, to move as the universe moves, to act in perfect harmony with divine intent. This is why Jesus walked without fear. This is why the storms did not shake him, why the accusations did not move him, why even death itself could not hold him. He was beyond it all, for he had become one with the force that moves all things. And so, for those who seek wisdom, for those who desire true mastery over life, the path is clear. It is not in struggle. It is not in domination. It is in becoming one with the great unseen forces, in learning the rhythms of the universe, in understanding the hidden laws that govern all things. The mind, when quieted, begins to perceive these truths. The heart, when unburdened by fear, begins to feel them. And the soul, when freed from the illusions of self, begins to embody them. This is the great secret, whispered through the ages, passed from master to student, hidden in the words of the wise. Reality is not what it seems. It bends, it shifts, it moves in accordance with deeper forces, forces that can be wielded by those who understand them. This is why the enlightened walk without fear. They are not bound by the rules of the ordinary. They have stepped beyond them, into the realm of the unseen, into the space where miracles are not supernatural, but simply natural laws understood at a higher level. And so, the final lesson is this: there is no separation. There is no limitation. The boundaries you perceive are of your own making. The walls you feel pressing in are constructs of your own mind. To dissolve them is to step into true freedom, to become as Jesus was, untouched by the illusions of the world, moving in perfect harmony with the divine. The great work is not in seeking something outside of yourself. It is in remembering what has always been within. The kingdom of heaven is not in the future. It is not in another place. It is here, now waiting to be seen, waiting to be lived. The mind, so often consumed by the chaos of its own making, struggles to perceive the greater harmony that exists beyond its grasp. It clings to certainty, to definitions, to names and forms, believing that in doing so, it can control the uncontrollable. But the truth is far simpler, yet infinitely more profound. Reality is not bound by the limitations of human perception. It moves according to laws far greater than the mind can comprehend, and those who seek to master life must first learn to master themselves. Jesus understood this. His teachings were not about external power, but about inner transformation. He did not come to rule kingdoms, nor to command armies, nor to dictate laws carved in stone. He came to awaken those who were ready, to break them free from the illusions that kept them bound. This is why his message was so radical, why it threatened those who built their authority upon rigid doctrines. He did not offer new laws. He offered freedom. But freedom is terrifying to those who have only known chains. The mind, conditioned by generations of fear, clings to what is familiar, even when that familiarity is suffering. It prefers the known prison to the unknown expanse of liberation. And so, when the truth is presented, many reject it, not because they do not see it, but because they are afraid of what it demands. To walk the path of wisdom is to walk into the unknown. It is to let go of the need for certainty, to surrender to a deeper intelligence, to trust in the great unfolding of existence. The sages of old did not seek to control life. They sought to understand it, to align themselves with its natural flow. They knew that true power does not come from domination, but from harmony, from moving as the universe moves, from seeing beyond the surface of things. This is why Jesus did not resist the forces that sought to silence him. He did not fight against the inevitable, did not rage against the tide. He knew that to do so would only create more suffering. Instead, he walked willingly into his fate, not as a victim, but as a master of his own destiny. His crucifixion was not a defeat. It was the ultimate expression of surrender, of absolute trust in the divine. And in that surrender, he transcended the very forces that sought to bind him. Those who still operate within the illusions of power cannot understand this. They believe that strength is in resistance, that victory is in conquest. But the wise know otherwise. True strength is in surrender, not the surrender of weakness, but the surrender of trust, of stepping into the current of life and allowing it to carry you where you are meant to go. This is the secret of all enlightened beings. They do not seek to force life into submission. They allow life to move through them. They do not impose their will upon the universe. They align their will with the universe. And in doing so, they become unstoppable, not because they overpower others, but because they are no longer playing the same game. The world, as most perceive it, is a construct, a fragile illusion built upon beliefs, expectations, and fears. It is held together not by truth, but by consensus, by the shared agreement of billions who accept its rules without question. But those who dare to look deeper, who dare to step beyond what is known, begin to see through the veil. They realize that the limitations they once believed in were never real. Jesus walked this path, as did many before and after him, and the message remains the same. You are not bound by the illusions of the world. You are not limited by the falsehoods you have been taught. You are not separate from the divine. The kingdom is within you, waiting to be realized, waiting to be lived. But to access it, you must be willing to let go. Let go of fear, of the need for control, of the belief that you are small and powerless. Let go of the illusions that keep you bound, the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible. For only when the mind is quiet, only when the heart is open, can the truth be seen. And that truth is this: you are already free. You have always been free. The only thing standing in your way is the illusion that you are not. The journey of awakening is not one that follows a straight path. It twists and turns, revealing itself in moments of clarity and obscurity. Those who walk this path must be willing to face the unknown, to step beyond what is comfortable, to embrace the great mystery that life presents. The wise ones who came before us understood that enlightenment is not something to be attained. It is something to be remembered. It is already within us, hidden beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and illusion. Jesus' teachings were never about creating a new religion or establishing rigid doctrines. They were an invitation to look within, to seek the truth not in temples or books, but in one's own heart. The kingdom of God is within you, he said, a statement so powerful that it threatened the very fabric of the world's illusions. For if people were to realize that they carried the divine within them, what need would there be for external control? This is why the teachings of all great masters have been resisted. They point people toward freedom, but freedom is a terrifying thing for those who have known only chains. To be free means to take responsibility for one's own mind, one's own choices, one's own soul. It is far easier to follow the rules of another, to place faith in authority, to surrender one's will to something external. But that is not the path of truth. The path of truth demands courage. The courage to look within, to dismantle illusions, to face what is real. There is a reason why those who seek wisdom often find themselves alone. The world does not understand them. It mocks what it cannot comprehend, fears what it cannot control. The awakened ones have always walked this earth as strangers, seeing what others cannot see, knowing what others are afraid to know. But this loneliness is an illusion too, for in truth, we are never alone. The universe itself moves through us, speaks to us, guides us. When the mind is quiet, when the ego no longer clings to its falsehoods, there is a profound realization. There is no separation. This is what the sages meant when they spoke of unity, of oneness. It is not a poetic idea. It is reality. The mind, in its ignorance, divides the world into pieces, labeling everything as separate, as distinct. But the awakened mind sees differently. It sees the thread that weaves through all things, the great dance of existence, the eternal flow of consciousness. The ocean does not see itself as separate from the waves. The sun does not divide itself from its own light. And we too are not separate from the great intelligence that animates all life. Jesus embodied this truth. He did not speak of God as something distant, as a being watching from above, but as something present, alive within all things. I and the Father are one, he said. But this was not a statement of exclusivity. It was an invitation for all to realize the same, to see beyond the illusion of separation, to know themselves as divine. And yet, even now, humanity resists this truth. It clings to division, to conflict, to the illusion of me and you, us and them. It builds walls where there should be bridges, wages wars where there should be peace. But for those who have seen beyond the veil, the game becomes clear. The world moves in cycles, awakening and forgetting, remembering and returning to sleep. And yet, throughout history, there have always been those who keep the flame alive, those who remind the world of what it has forgotten. Perhaps that is why you are here, listening to these words. Something in you knows that there is more, that there has always been more. Perhaps you have felt the pull of truth, the quiet whisper in the depths of your being telling you that reality is not as it seems. If so, then you are not alone. There have always been seekers, wanderers, those who do not accept the illusions fed to them. And though the path is difficult, though it may at times feel lonely, know this: you are exactly where you are meant to be. The journey of awakening is not about reaching a destination. It is about seeing clearly, about living with awareness, about moving through life with an open heart and an open mind. It is not about escaping the world, but about seeing the world as it truly is, vast, mysterious, interconnected. And when one sees this, fear begins to dissolve. The need for control fades. The endless seeking for meaning outside of oneself comes to an end. For the truth has been here all along. It was never hidden. It was only waiting for you to see it.